morning it still is, it must feel like a long day to Stuart, each of these gentlemen is going to present for about 5 minutes on their view, and then we will do Q&A for about 15 minutes. And thereafter, while we don't have time planned for Q&A from the audience, I'm sure both Vishy and Scott would be willing to hang around for a few minutes and answer questions.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So with that, I think I forgot to, I do have the slide. Scott, I'm going to hand the clicker, very technical name, over to you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Julie. It's great to be here with everybody in San Francisco. And a little bit about myself. As Julie mentioned, I'm Scott Bajtos, and I'm our Chief Customer Officer for VMware. Raise your hand if you've actually heard of VMware before. Okay, excellent, great. That's about 90% of the audience for all of us that are looking here on our video streaming. And I would just like to open with a couple of comments. You know, I feel like I've been put on the planet to serve others. I've been in this industry now for 31 years, and having been at VMware now for 10, we have transformed our organization 3 times in the past 10 years. And it's a journey that's been based on our customer experience. And so I'm delighted to have a chance to open up and to have a dialogue with everybody about AI as part of our strategy and really helping us move the conversation forward in terms of really creating the best possible customer experience for all of our customers around the globe at VMware. Now, personally, AI has been transforming my life as well. I happen to be wearing what's called the Aura Ring. I don't know if any of you have this. Have you heard of the Aura Ring? Raise your hand if you've heard of that by chance. Okay, it was about 6 of you. The Aura Ring is a new technology that was founded in Finland 4 years ago, and it's designed to track your readiness on a daily basis. And your readiness is based on your sleep patterns. And the quality of your sleep has a direct efficiency factor in how ready you are as an individual, translating into performance. And it is the coolest technology. And really, that's really what we're thinking about as it pertains to our customer experience at VMware. How are we becoming very proactive and leveraging the information we know about our customers differently to help them be the best at what their business is striving to accomplish? So to begin, to make this simple, I thought I would just describe to you at VMware, if you're a customer of ours, traditionally in the software industry, software maintenance support, as Julie teed up this topic, was considered to be the insurance policy. When you have a problem with software, you call somebody for support or you go online for support. It's a very reactive mode by nature. Our strategy at VMware over the past 2 years is to leverage our innovation as it pertains to our technology. We are the leader in our technology from a solutions and product standpoint. We also are becoming the leader in our support standpoint by how we're doing things differently. So 2 years ago, we identified some common pain points when a customer came to us and opening up a case, a traditional case. So we use Salesforce, Service Cloud. We're on Lightning. It's the latest technology at Service Cloud. When you came to us to open up a case, these were some of the pain points our customers were facing. The one on the far right is the one I like to call out, which is 59% of customers were frustrated because they would come to us with a technical issue, but not have the technical expertise on the first call or the first contact. We had to route them somewhere else. So one of our strategies was to think outside of the box. How can we layer onto Salesforce Service Cloud a capability that would allow us to anticipate getting the right engineer to the right customer at the right time when they need it? And we've successfully done that. Now, the other thing I thought I would mention is we've got 2 big factors as it pertains to evolving our customer support experience. The upper side you see here is around self-service. The lower side is around what we call assisted support. The blue factors you see highlighted are really where we're leveraging the natural language processing and the AI capabilities that we've developed on our own at VMware. One of the questions that I'm sure you came to hear about today is, do you build or do you buy? And in the software industry and the enterprise space, there's really not a proven technology that does it all. So we're augmenting that ourselves. And we've created a product called Skyline. And what Skyline does is it allows our customers to take a component and install it on top of their environment and give us access to their environment, their entire stack of technology. And we monitor that on a regular basis. Now, what's really great about that is it allows us to analyze the environment and act on issues before they actually occur in their environment. That's the secret sauce into Skyline. It's really the horizon, if you will, looking across the customer's environment. What we're also doing with that knowledge is we are feeding that back into our product teams and our capabilities to improve our product experience to avoid having the same issue more than once. How many times have you faced a situation as a consumer and you've asked the question, well, hasn't anybody else faced that before? And the answer 90% of the time is yes. Well, we're trying to reduce our ongoing burden of the experience by making it better for our customers by how we're learning through our AI capabilities in Skyline. Install it, we're listening, we're analyzing it, and then we're acting on it, feeding that back into the product set. The other piece we're doing, which we're really excited about, is we've created this capability called Support Hub. And this is where we're leveraging the technology that is somewhat proven in today's industry. IBM Watson, which happens to be here today at Transform 2019, is a great product, but yet hasn't really been proven in the enterprise software space. And so what we're doing is we're leveraging IBM Watson to comb through, when you're entering in a case at VMware now, IBM Watson is monitoring that and feeding information about other customer issues that have happened while we're leveraging the telemetry information on our engineers' capabilities and matching the engineering capability based on the customer issue they're facing and getting the customer to the right engineer on the first shot, which is fabulous. That's the ultimate what we're trying to accomplish. Support Hub is big today. We've got 3,000 customers today at VMware using Skyline, and the initial results combined with Support Hub are fabulous. And we're starting to attack all 4 of the pain points as it pertains to opening up a case. The big one here that you see is this first one, right? Time is money for everybody. And so we don't want our customers to carry that burden, and we want to reduce the amount of time it takes to open up a service request with us. And so you see by the results here around these 3 particular KPIs, we're hitting it out of the park. So good early indications, we're on the right track, but we're just beginning. As it is like at the Aura Ring, we're not settling at VMware. We're always striving to become the best. And what we're calling and striving to achieve is what we're calling the software-led proactive support capabilities. It's completely transforming the industry, and I'm excited to double-click on a few questions that you've submitted through Julie that we can talk more about. So with that, let me turn it over to Vishy, and we'll hear about the Humana story.
Thank you.
And that the round of applause, that usually generates some excitement.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
So thank you for having me on the stage here. I'm super excited to be here. So I'm Vishy Krishnamurthi. I lead product and experience for a new initiative within Humana. And as a self-professed geek, what I really like about my current role is that I can apply AI, ML, and even voice signals to solve some very interesting problems. And Scott talked about employing the same technologies for a B2B use case. What I thought would be interesting to share here is to walk through a use case where we did this for a B2C experience. So with that, as you know, Humana, I mean, we have a number of different services. One of the services we have is our retail pharmacy, mail order pharmacy that we have. And the customer service there, I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of calls, thousands of customer service representatives answering all these calls, solving from very basic questions to some really detailed conversations with the customers. And typically, for those of you who've managed call centers and customer interactions, you typically have certain metrics, and I've listed some of them over there. Call quality is one of them, NPS is another one, customer satisfaction. These are all great metrics to have, and these are all great measurements. But by and large, all of these are post facto measurements, right? So you have a conversation, and then after that, for a certain population of the total conversations that you get, maybe 1% or 2%, you reach out through a voice of a VOC, what's known as VOC, right? And then it's a survey-based thing, which is a great tool. But one of the things that we started realizing was when you're having large call volumes, you really can't do a VOC that does not have some element of bias set in. So we were out looking out for a solution that could augment these metrics with additional real-time signals that we could use. And that actually led us to a very interesting review that HBR had back in August of 2016, which talked about this notion of emotional connection. And that they actually and it's a good article a good report to go through, where they argue that emotional connection actually augments and actually even is a better score than customer satisfaction, because when people are emotionally connected to your products, they tend to make better buying decisions. They are more involved in the purchase decisions and so on. So that quest led us to working with a company called Cogito. So Cogito, I think they are a spin-off from the MIT Media Labs, founded by folks who've spent a lot of time looking at voice biomarkers. So just to kind of really quickly talk about the technology behind it, what Cogito does is when you're having a call conversation, they integrate into our call system centers, Avaya, whatever is there. And within a couple of seconds, they start analyzing the voice conversations in real time. And they don't look at the content. I mean, that could be a new future addition. What they look at is the voice biomarkers, or biomarkers are basically markers on your speech to identify the emotion in real time. And with that, there are some behavioral signals that they can then provide. And so in our call centers, when we integrated it, this actually shows the kind of real-time information that our customer service reps actually see on their desktop. So they're having a conversation, this shows up. And there are some really good learnings here. So and especially when it comes to healthcare, I mean, you have people who have, we have a pretty large demographic. So if there are seniors on the call, you would want to reduce your speech. So if a queue comes up saying that you're talking too fast, you can adjust your speech in real time. I mean, you get this additional context, and that alert remains till that's fixed, right? So we deployed this, and not only that, so it also computes an emotional score, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. So in addition to that, if you're managing a team of CSRs as a team lead, you also get a leadership dashboard which shows call performances over time. And the interesting aspect here is that what we've figured out was that there was a strong correlation between the real-time signals that we were getting and the VOCs that we ran after. So part of the proof of concepts that we ran, we did both control and experiment, where we had this tool for a certain set of our CSRs, and of course the others were using the normal channels, right? And the results were pretty interesting. So we actually saw that the population of our CSRs who were using Cogito, we saw that the NPST increased by 3 points. The talk time actually reduced by 10 seconds. AHT, actually, if you look at industry reports, AHT is trending up. This is a good an example of where using something where you're using technology to augment these CSRs actually has a trend bender effect, where we're improving our talk time. There's a blended metric that we follow called the perfect call metrics. It's a blend of 4 different submetrics, such as was the agent courteous, did the agent answer the right questions, and a few others. We saw a 3% increase in our perfect call metric there. It gave us enough confidence to go ahead, and now we've deployed it around to a large number of associates. We're talking about thousands of associates now using this tool, and all the trends that we are seeing are really positive from that perspective. A tool like this, in addition to other AI elements that you can employ. So I basically talked about a particular instance of using AI ML. In this case, AI is through voice. Can be a perfect complement to if you do post facto, if you take voice, do a transcription into text, and then run NLP on it, right? So you can do both real-time and post facto analysis. So from that perspective, this has been something that has seen tremendous success here with us.
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah, you can just hold on to it. It's okay. So let me jump in with one of the first questions of Vishy, like why? I think a lot of maybe you can actually advance it one slide. Maybe your names will come back up. It'll be magic. Maybe not. Okay,
Maybe
we'll let
not.
the folks in the back handle it.
Yeah.
So it feels like a lot of conversations around customer service are really rooted in operational cost savings. Like talking to human beings is too expensive. The rise of IVR over the past 20, 25 years, customers kind of hate that experience. Why is Humana using this set of technologies, and what impact is it having? Is it about operational cost savings, or what's the catalyst for this investment in bringing someone like you in as a chief product officer to tackle it?
Sure. So let me step back a little bit, right? What we've, as an industry, we've realized, and we've seen this with the tremendous success that some of the companies have had in terms of just their experiences. Being customer-centric actually has a downstream impact in terms of having a positive downstream impact in terms of cost efficiencies and so on. So that's the key pivot here. We are an extremely customer-centric organization. And we actually believe that AI, ML, and other technologies, essentially, we're not enamored by the technology themselves, but we look at these technologies as an enabler to drive better experiences. And IVR is a great example where I've actually seen IVR evolve from being rote and robotic to now we have some really good interesting products that are out there that drive conversational AI, which is extremely customer-centric, right? So I actually feel that we're at a point where the technology, the compute stack, the algorithms are here that can actually pivot us to being extremely customer-centric.
Thank you. So this next question then, so now I want to get into the meat of what this conference is about, which is about AI, and specifically the session is about AI within a conversational context. We throw these words around a lot, but really AI is a whole host of, it's a family of technologies. And AI could impact a lot of different elements of both customer service as well as a conversation. So to both Scott and Vishy then, what's your take then on kind of, where this family of technologies we call AI is going to have an impact in the near term, and, what are perhaps some of the impacts we'll see further down the road? What are the near-term opportunities versus the long-term, and where is this going to be big?
From our perspective at VMware, and I'm sure very similar to Humana, our goal is to be customer obsessed, and we've heard that through the Humana story. At the same time, being customer obsessed is about creating that trusted advisor relationship. And Vishy did a nice job of just double clicking on how they're thinking about the emotional connection. The more we can anticipate our customers' needs with AI across everything we do, at VMware, we're actually building AI capabilities into the product itself. So it's not just the one use case I described as it pertains to opening up a case, but it's actually the intelligence that we're gaining from the customer on the use cases and outcomes. When you put yourself truly in the customer's shoes of understanding what outcome they're trying to achieve and reach that value realization, that's true customer obsession and customer success. And that's big for us because that's a differentiator. Being in the software industry, it's pretty common for our competitors to come in and rip and replace. And that loyalty factor kicks in when you establish that emotional connection. And that's how we say AI, the host of capabilities, kicking in.
Okay, so if we were to extend your logic, are we going to see a day then when there's maybe less customer services necessary because you're so good at anticipating,
right,
and perhaps even fixing things before they're broken or there's a problem?
Well, in some use cases that could be the case. In the technology space that we're playing in IT data centers and transformation, our asset is our engineering talent, right? It's our engineering technical support capabilities. And so we see AI as a fabric to extend that relationship. We don't see this as a cost savings mode or a job elimination mode. We actually see this improving the frontline engineer's life by arming them to become more knowledgeable about our customers' environments differently. That's how we think about it. There are some industries, though, that are striving to do that, for sure.
Okay, so Vishy, let me turn it over to you. How do you think about the impact of this family of technologies across the different elements of customer service in the short and long term?
Yeah, actually, that's a very, very good question, right? So what I'm really excited about is two aspects, right? If you take customer service, or let's just broadly expand the scope here, there are a number of tasks that are rote, right? People calling in to ask about benefits or where things are. That's where doing that kind of analysis that Scott talked about, post-factor analysis on past history, using supervised learning to identify what are the top trending, high impact, high volume tasks, and then automating them, right? Because you really don't want to, you want to take your most valuable asset in any organization, which is your human capital, and you want to employ that capital into things that are intellectually stimulating, right? And we know that contact centers, the churn rate is pretty high. So I actually see AI not just helping customers, but also associates. So essentially automate away rote tasks so that the more interesting tasks that are more detailed conversations with the customers are some things where you want to employ your human capital because they can use their judgment. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is you want to augment them with the kind of data that you want. So if you're in a call center situation where if you have to answer a detailed question and you have to switch through 10 different applications, the time you spend with your customer is quite low. And that's where AI becomes very interesting because you can then run some interesting models to understand based on the the context, based on NLP or whatever, and surface the right information. It does two things. It makes the employee, the associates, feel empowered. Right? Mm-hmm. They can spend more time with the customers, be more empathetic with them. So I actually see the tremendous opportunities here, both in automation and augmentation. Mm-hmm. I don't think of it as a job elimination process.
So it sounds like from what both of you said, both the customer experience is going to get better because there's going to be fewer failures because there's going to be more anticipation and more, I don't know if I want to say like fixing things or proactively serving customers.
Keeping them out of harm's way, yes.
But it also feels like you're saying the employee experience is going to be better.
Much.
Because either I'm going to do fewer, like what we're calling low-level tasks, so to speak, and you're going to augment my ability to do the job at hand. So one of the things, I just wanted to go a step further and probe, and I don't know if I've summarized everything or there's more that you want to say on the talent element of it, but how does this change either who you hire or how humans have a relationship with technology? Because I don't know how everyone in the audience would feel, like if it's like in Vishy's example, if somebody's like, slow down, speed up, be more empathetic, like how are folks in your call centers maybe reacting to that kind of real-time feedback or that real-time coaching?
That's a very good question. And it's something that, the POC that we did lasted a couple of years. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it's true about anything. It's true about us when we are taking on new technologies, right? There's always this fear of how is this going to help me? I mean, is it really helping me? And when we introduce something like this, there has to be a lot of thought put into training and coaching. And in our case, we were able to do that. And that's the other part. The technology has to be seamless, right? People have to adopt. You can't force things down saying like, no, you have to use these, right? In this case, we were able to, and part of it is a bit
let me ask you, so why?
Hard.
I mean, my company tells me I have to use SharePoint. I'm like, all right, I'm using SharePoint. Like, why can't you just, say, hey, this is the new world?
Because ultimately, it'll have two negative impacts, right? One is associate experience is going to go down, and in today's customer-obsessed world, associate experience directly correlates into customer satisfaction,
yes.
Right? So if your associate comes in and if they're already thinking about like, I hate this tool, right? And then they get a call. Some of these calls can be stressful. When you're in customer service and support, the kind of calls that come in are usually where's my pack, where's my shipment and things like that. You don't want to have that negative effect carry on to the customers. So it's absolutely imperative that the associates themselves understand the value. And if the experience is not right, it's up to us as engineers and product people to make sure that that's the right experience, right?
Yeah, and I would say we do have a bit of a mandate when it comes to usage and how we're structured, because we want to create that consistency around the globe for our customers. And I would also suggest that our engineers on the front line, in addition to what you said, Vishy, really believe that their skill set will evolve over time. We've gone big in certain vertical markets, so we're recruiting new vertical talent and expertise and engineering capabilities on the front line and leveraging that for those really more complex use cases. And that's where we see the growth of talent coming into play.
Okay, so I'm going to try to do 2 more questions in about the minute we have left. So like speed round now.
Let's do it.
In implementing these AI tools within your customer service organization, what is the thing that's been most challenging for you that perhaps you didn't expect?
change management and the workspace time that you need to really adopt it.
Vishy.
I want to do a plus one to that, double down on that. Change management, especially with new technologies, is something that the more time you spend upfront on it will save you a lot of grief later on. So absolutely change management. And of course, there's always technology issues when you're building in bringing in new technologies, integrating it with legacy architecture. Moving to the cloud is a great example of mitigating that.
Okay, I know we didn't get much on the tech stack, but that's a good one. So last one would be, as we are out of time here, what would be your words of wisdom to folks in the audience that are considering using some form of a solution that incorporates AI within their organization, either helping set the right expectations or first step you would take? What words of wisdom would you offer?
Innovate. It's the number one thing. Don't settle, right? We see that here today. And transform.
What do you mean by that? Innovate?
It's to take what you see and make it your own. That's my biggest piece of advice to you.
I kind of talked about this in the beginning, where I look at, having spent a career in technology, I look at technology as enablers, right? So AI is a tool, like any other tool. Data is also another aspect. What should really matter is the jobs to be done, right? Focus on that customer centricity, and the customer could be an end user or an associate. Understand what the jobs to be done is, and then figure out what is the technology value that you add here from an automation perspective or augmentation perspective.
Thank you. That felt very
you.
fast and very
Yes.
short, but thank you, Scott, and thank you, Vishy, for joining us. And is it a bad assumption that you'll stick around for a few minutes and answer
I would
questions?
love to stick around if you have
folks have
questions.
questions from the
Yes.
audience, but thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.